We welcome you to another edition of Snap the Pigskin. Noah Clark, Kedrick Stumbris. We got some good news today. We got Drive of the Week, talking about the Saints firing their head coach, Dennis Allen. What happens next for New Orleans? Halfway through the season, me and Kedrick are going to look at our picks here, see if we want to change our picks, see if we want to keep them. Packers losing to the Lions. Is Detroit going to lose another game this year? We'll talk about that. And the trade deadline has come and is gone. And we will give our thoughts along with bringing home the bacon and our pigskin primetime picks. And Kedrick, it's good to see you. How are you?
Not too shabby. Not a whole lot going on here on Tuesday, November 5th at 6:37 p.m. Central Time. Nothing other than me sitting around waiting for 9 p.m. to come on so I can watch what am I watching tonight? Yes, Washington, the Huskies hosting UC Davis on the Big Ten Network at 9 p.m. Central. That's the only thing my eyes are glued on tonight.
That's good. Not other stuff that's important in this country. Good.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get right into it. Start with our drives of the week. First down, the New Orleans Saints made a big move and one that rocked all of Louisiana. Firing head coach Dennis Allen. Saints at 2-7. They lost to the Panthers last week. What happens next for the Saints? Well, a couple things. First,
all right, hang on. You can't breeze through that. You cannot breeze through the New Orleans Saints losing to the Carolina Panthers. Man, and not just like the Andy Dalton new look Panthers, the Bryce Young Panthers.
Yes. I was going to build up to it with the Panthers. I was going to build up to it.
Yeah, you really did the opposite of burying the lead on that one.
Yeah.
Not allowed to build up to that when you put it at the very beginning.
Yeah.
An embarrassing loss for a team that ostensibly wanted to compete in this NFC South. And no shot, done, over. It's over. Same thing for Coach Allen down there.
You know what's crazy?
Over.
You know what's crazy?
2-7.
They're 2-7. They're 2-7.
They have
but
the
what's
same
also
record as the Panthers.
What's crazy about
head-to-head loss?
Oh no, but they lost in week 1 because they played in week 1. I was like, oh yeah, they played in week 1 and the Panthers got absolutely shellacked. What was I gonna say? Derek Carr. I looked this up earlier after the firing. This is the second time Derek Carr has been the starting quarterback for a Dennis Allen led team, and he's been fired mid-season. And I was like, man, I feel like Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr needs to be sitting the bench because at this point, you got one head coach fired. And you hired Jack Del Rio, and it worked for like a season. And then the next year, nothing worked. And it's the same situation in New Orleans. I think what's also tough about...
So, hang on.
Yeah.
The benching a quarterback conversation needs to come with an idea of what are you trying to accomplish by benching your starting quarterback.
Right.
So, if you are advocating for a benching of Derek Carr, to what end are you advocating for that?
Yeah, that is true.
That's my question. Are you saying I actually haven't thought that far, which is fine.
I know I haven't really thought that far. Okay, I mean,
that's fine. Are you benching Derek Carr for the Spencer Rattler experiment again?
Well,
I don't know. Or are we putting other Fresno State alum Jake Haener out there?
Lord.
Yeah. And again, to do not to just put one of these guys out there, but to do what? Is it to further evaluate Spencer Rattler? Because it's not to try to come back and compete for a playoff spot. It's not saying that we think one of these other guys gives us a better chance to win. It would have to be with the purpose of evaluating somebody like a Spencer Rattler and okay. But he did not pass that first test.
No.
We saw a couple weeks back. He looked bad. So I don't know that I can get on board with the bench Derek Carr of it all, but I don't know. Whatever, man.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter at this
They're
point.
2-7. They're 2-7 at this point. It doesn't like. Here's what's also tough about the Saints with firing Dennis Allen is they're not going to get is right off the bat they're not going to get a good head coach. This is a terrible situation for any head coach to come into. They are just absolutely screwed by the salary cap issue that is there, and they don't have a starting quarterback long term for the future. This is a situation that if you're a head coach, an example like a Ben Johnson, he's not even going to think about going to that situation in New Orleans. So the market for them is very thin.
If he didn't want to go to Washington, like it's not, he's not going there. Yeah, their situation obviously being bad based on what we talked about at the very beginning of this season is that they went into this year with $59 million in dead cap money. Or that's what they have now, according to Spotrac. That's only 8th in the league. But next year, for 2025, they're already sitting on $48 million in dead cap money, and that does lead the league in already present dead cap money. That's including a 50 with a zero, 51 mil with a zero, with a 5. Yeah, that's the number that matters there. $51 million cap hit for Derek Carr next season. And you can't cut him because that's a 50 with a 0 and a $5 million dead cap hit if you cut Derek Carr. They need Derek Carr to play ball, I guess. Otherwise, like, I don't know. But this is a tear it down to the studs operation. They have been pushing. They pushed out the money for a really long time with Drew Brees there, and then they just kept up with the same
shenanigans.
Yeah, they're already no. I want you to guess how many dollars over the cap New Orleans is for next year already.
I think I was looking out there. It's like what, in the 90s?
Nah, it's not that bad.
Or not that high. Mm-hmm. I want to say because there's been multiple people said it's in the 90s. Some have said it's in like the 70s.
It is 77 million. It is the worst in the league. It may be something like realistically 90 with the way that like if they handle certain cuts and whatnot, it might actually look in practice more like 90. That wouldn't surprise me, but yeah, they're already $77 million over the cap for next season, which is the worst.
Oh, and here's the thing about it all is the Dennis Allen head coach firing.
That's the worst. Wait, hang on. That's the worst in the league. 28th in the league. So like the 4th worst is Atlanta, which still has $8.5 million in cap available.
Yes,
so it's worse by a lot.
To think about that, that's bonkers. How the Falcons have the 4th worst cap in the league, but the Saints they're light years ahead of everybody in this.
They're $85 million worse.
Oh my god! Like, here's what my next point was going to be.
Okay, wait, hang on, I found it. The Browns are 31st in the league. The Saints
by how much?
Saints are the worst at 77. Where do you think Cleveland Brown falls with how much cap space or how over the cap that they are as the 2nd worst team in the league?
Oh man,
for 2025.
I feel like it's got to be at least like in the 30s.
You have Deshaun Watson there. Keep that in mind.
Oh yeah, that's right, because they have that Deshaun Watson contract. Oh, so you add that. Oh, I want to say
it's like hit for next year, by the way, is $72 million.
Oh my god. I want to say that. Yeah, I want to say it's like, I was going to say 55 million, but that's like, might be higher.
No, it is 44.
Okay. So I was going to say,
which means Cleveland is $44 million over the cap for next year.
And it's because of one guy.
And it's the 2nd worst in the league.
It's because of one guy.
Yeah. Right. Like Deshaun Watson takes their cap hit from like they have $30 million in cap space to they are 45 over, but like they're 44 over and it's 2nd worst to New Orleans, which has like a Baker Mayfield more over the cap.
Oh God, the Saints.
And that was basically spot on, by the way, because Baker's cap hit next year is $35 million.
Oh my God.
But what I'm saying is that I am
God.
a genius at navigating Spotrac.
So let me get this straight. So Deshaun Watson's cap, dead cap, is almost as much as the New Orleans Saints dead cap.
Ooh, well, his not his dead cap hit if you were to cut him, but Deshaun Watson's actual cap hit for next season is just $72 million. If you were to cut Deshaun
that's what I meant.
His dead cap in 2025
his dead cap
172. The contract's fully guaranteed. Like you can't. They're screwed. Cleveland is going to have to do the same thing that they did with Brock Osweiler at some point in time if they ever
they're just going to have to eat that contract.
Want to be competitive, like yeah. I mean, either that or just live it out and accumulate draft picks and go full Philadelphia 76ers on it, I guess.
Oh my God. Here's one thing I will say before we got to move on to second down. I was saying, even with Dennis Allen getting fired, like no matter who you bring in, Mickey Loomis is the problem there at New Orleans. And he's been the problem there for the last few years. He gets credited for all the moves that he's done with this Saints organization, helping them get back to relevance, helping them stay consistently competitive. But now it's kind of turning on him. And you look at it like.
So the only way I would push back, and that's not to say that Mickey Loomis is not a problem, but I would struggle to call him the problem, because the problem seems to actually be just like organizational philosophy here, where they have wanted to push out for so long. And I struggle to think that is only a Mickey Loomis decision. I have to think that some of that comes from ownership, and other people in the room, in the front office. Ultimately, Mickey Loomis is the one responsible for all of that. So like, it's yes, Mickey Loomis, but also bigger than Mickey Loomis. 100%. I am not disagreeing with you. This is a Mickey Loomis and problem.
So does that fall, like, what's the and? Who do you think is in the part of the and? Is it just like
I said, probably part ownership, part the people Mickey Loomis has surrounded himself in the front office with, but it's that organization as a whole has miscalculated on what they could do post Drew Brees as a team on the field, and think that they can continue being competitive, because they're still paying for Jameis Winston. They're still paying a ridiculous contract for Derek Carr. Like they have tried to just patch this with quarterback play, and it has not worked.
And that's the thing I was going to say, is like, they didn't really have a solid backup plan for Drew Brees. You look at a lot of teams, like especially the Saints too. They should have had a backup plan. Like at least
nobody does. That's why the Green Bay Packers are like such an outlier, right? Because nobody does that. Right. Tampa or New England. New England should have had a better plan to replace Tom Brady. No.
Same with Denver.
No, they shouldn't have. Everyone sucks at evaluating quarterbacks. You have as good of a plan as you want, but unless you're the Green Bay Packers, you're poor. Get over it.
That's true. That was a good time.
World champions.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, 14 time coming up here.
I don't know.
We'll see. Fingers crossed. We're gonna do a little exercise. Second down, quickly. Let me rephrase that. Not quickly. Second down, we're gonna do a little exercise halfway through the season. So halfway through the season, we're going to relook back at our picks, and we're going to see if we want to change our pick or if we want to keep it. Back in, what was this, August, we made our picks for who was our playoff teams, our division winners. And so far, here we are now 9-10 weeks in. And I will already say from the get-go, my picks are failing miserably. We're not doing well here. So what do you say we get into it, Kedrick? Let's
I would love to say we get into it. Noah, Would you care to tell me who the number 1 seed in the AFC and the NFC are right now?
So the NFC right now, you got the Chiefs, or NFC, you got the Lions, and the AFC, you got the Chiefs.
That is correct. Would you care to tell me who is advancing? Oh gosh, this whole mirror situation is not great. Read this backwards and decipher for me who is advancing to the Super Bowl on this note card.
I had the Packers.
This is not yours.
Oh, that's yours. Oh, you had the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
You had the Lions and you had the Chiefs. Wow.
Oh, look at that.
You
Look
are
at
spot
that.
on
The
on
number
that.
1 seeds in both conferences. Moving on. Look, the Chiefs have not been the best team in football, but they are the only undefeated team in football. And what on earth happened last night? Because
Todd Bowles is being an idiot.
I experienced this Monday Night Football game by which from what I understand, Tampa Bay tied the game late with a touchdown. Got within 1 with a touchdown late with like 30 seconds on the clock, and the Chiefs had all 3 timeouts. And then just kicked the extra point to tie it. Didn't go for 2 to force.
For what reason?
To force Patrick Mahomes to have to get a field goal to beat you. Patrick Mahomes failed to get a field goal. And then the Chiefs won the coin toss in overtime, got the ball and won. I experienced all of that secondhand through Twitter as I was covering the Badgers basketball game last night. But it was the most like, I am watching other people experience this. And I absolutely know exactly how this ends, the same way everyone actually watching the game already knows this ends. Because I don't... Are the Chiefs ever going to lose a game ever again? Many people are asking. Are asking, will Kansas City ever lose another football game? Because if Tampa Bay is just going to hand them wins like this, and I say hand by... And look, I know a pick for bringing home the bacon was made, but like Baker Mayfield almost knocked off Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs without like any skill position talent whatsoever available to him. So like maybe Baker should have been our second game loser to bring home the bacon.
Second game loser.
Yeah, like. Second to Justin Herbert, who got an award first. The inaugural Connor McDavid award.
I love that award.
Like you can't make me bet against the Chiefs. It's what I told you at the beginning of the season. I'm not going to bet on the Chiefs, or not going to bet against the Chiefs rather until something happens. Because right now, if you bet against the Chiefs, you look like a freaking moron.
It is very true. And
did you pick Tampa Bay by double digits last week?
I picked Tampa. I picked Tampa by 10. I picked Tampa by 10 or by 7.
You fool. You're a fool.
Sam says the same thing to me every time I pick the Chiefs. He's like
a smart guy.
He's like, why do you always choose against the Chiefs? You know that it's the same result every time. And it's just like, I feel like this time they're going to lose. I feel like they're going to lose. And they don't.
All right. I'm going to get us back on track.
God,
all right, let's go
man.
NFC divisions. We'll go AFC divisions, and then we'll go NFC divisions and wild cards. We'll go AFC divisions.
Yeah.
Noah, we both picked the Lions to win the NFC North. The Lions are currently first in the NFC North with a 7-1 record, a basically 2-game lead in the division, a 1.5 lead in the division over the Green Bay Packers, who sit at 6-3, but the Lions have a head-to-head victory. I don't think either of us are picking against the Lions to win the division, not based on anything we've seen thus far. No, we'll get into that a little bit more later. So we'll keep it there. The NFC East, neither of us had the team currently leading that division to make the playoffs. It is the Washington Commanders, sitting at 7-2, first place by a half game over the Philadelphia Eagles, who sit in second at 6-2. Noah, you picked Philly to win the division. I picked the Cowboys.
Ooh.
That doesn't feel great. Yeah.
You want to change it, or are you going to keep it?
I am
Ride with Mike McCarthy? You going to ride with Mike McCarthy?
It is under consideration at this time. In the NFC South, we both picked the Atlanta Falcons. We both picked the Atlanta Falcons, as I recall, to win that division fairly handily. They are 6-3. Got off to a little bit of a touch and go start, but they do have a 2-game lead on the Buccaneers. No reason for either of us to pick against the Falcons in the NFC South at this time, I presume.
No,
right.
Not at all. Especially after the fact too that they swept the Bucs this year in this regular season. So
yeah. And then we move on to the NFC West, where we have perhaps the most hotly contested division in football right now.
it's a dogfight.
Yeah.
Dogfight.
Where the current leader in the NFC West is the Arizona Cardinals. Sources are telling me. At 5-4, while the Rams and 49ers both sit at 4-4, the Seahawks sit at 4-5. We both picked the 49ers to win this division. They sit a half game behind the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals have a head-to-head win. That's the half game difference right there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I am fascinated. We both had the Rams making it as a wild card. The Rams are really hard to figure out. They have looked solid. They've gelled together more quickly despite the injuries with all these folks returning. They look good. They're getting better every week. I still have a lot of faith in the Rams making this division as a wild card. Maybe this is the division we see 3 playoff teams make it. I want to parlay this a little bit into the wild card conversation here. Maybe this is the division we see 3 playoff teams from. Maybe. Because we had picked that to be the NFC North, and I think there's still a chance of that. But we both picked that team to be Chicago, alongside Green Bay, making it as wild cards. We both had the Packers, Rams, and Bears making it as wild card representatives in the National Football Conference. Noah, with all this presented to you, would you like to make a swap on any of your NFC playoff picks?
Yeah, I think I'm going to make a swap for that NFC West. Because we both picked the Niners.
Correct.
We both picked the Niners to win it.
Correct.
We're gonna get spicy here. Give me the Rams.
Rams. All right.
Give me the Rams.
This is so.
I think it's gonna be a wild, wild west. It's gonna be wild, wild west.
Okay, well then, who picks up that wild card spot that you are abandoning for the Rams?
So that's even crazier. I think Arizona falters. The second half of the season, I think the Niners snag that wild card spot. I think the Niners snag that wild card spot. I think we still see 3 teams from the NFC North, but the Bears do not make it. It's going to be the Lions, the Vikings, and the Packers. I think Arizona. Here's the thing about the Cardinals, and I've talked about this before. They have some games where they're exciting to watch, and then they'll have these games where they just don't seem to gel. And I think with the Niners, we've seen this every year. The Niners have played under Kyle Shanahan, have had Kyle Shanahan as their coach. They falter at the beginning of the season and the midway point. They figure it out, and by the end of the season, they're one of the best teams in football. I think it's going to take them a little bit longer, though, because they don't have Christian McCaffrey, but he's supposed to be coming back after their bye week. I think that they get it right. I think, however, though, they lose the season series to the Rams, and that's going to be very key for LA to get that NFC West division title. I see the Rams winning that division. I think they make it interesting. I think the NFC West overall is going to be interesting. But yeah, Arizona's going to falter. I think the Rams are going to get there.
That's I think if I were taking any change here, I wouldn't want to change that NFC East pick. Damn.
But now what's what the bigger thing is? Are you going to go Commanders or Eagles? Because both teams look pretty good.
Fascinating question. I mean, both of them. Washington is 7th in DVOA. Philadelphia is 9th. They've both played really, really solid football. I think that Commanders defense is not good. And I think probably bites them down the stretch. You can't get. You just can't rely on a rookie quarterback to power your team to victory week in and week out. I don't think that that's going to happen down the stretch of the season. If I'm taking any team to make the playoffs out of the NFC East, I think I'm taking the Eagles. And they have 2 games in which they get to play the Commanders yet. So I'm going to take the Eagles to make the playoffs out of the NFC East if I'm repicking today. But I think if I'm repicking these wild card teams, I think that Washington still gets there. I think Jalen Daniels and that number 2 pick gets there over Chicago and the number 1 overall pick these days. That's what I'm thinking. I'm going to stick on the Rams to win the wild card and the 49ers to win the West. I am very willing to be wrong on this. I look, the 49ers have not looked good this season, but they're kind of just another one of these teams where like I'll believe it when I see it in terms of them not getting back to the playoffs. And I liked everything that LA did this offseason. I liked them enough to get back to the playoffs as a wild card. And the only reason I think that's in doubt at this point is because their injury situation to begin the year, but the rest of the division has kind of fallen their way. In the wild card race, they sit in 10th right now. They're a couple of wins behind. It would not surprise me if the Vikings falter though. Yeah, I get I get that the Rams are 2 games behind the Vikings. It would not surprise me if the Vikings were to falter down the stretch of the season. It would not surprise me if the Bears, which are tied with the Rams and the 49ers right now for a game for a spot just outside of that last wild card. It would not surprise me to see them falter down the stretch of the season. And I don't know. I'm just feeling a little zesty. I think the thing cutting against the Rams is that they do have that head-to-head loss with Chicago already. But if Philly can't get up and grab the NFC East, the Rams have a chance against Philly to get a head-to-head victory. Meanwhile, so all right, let's move over to the AFC, where in the North. The Ravens, no, not the Ravens. The Steelers lead at 6-2, a half game ahead of the Ravens at 6-3. Very surprising. A team that you and I both kind of picked as a team to have a losing record for the first time in a really long time. I picked Cincinnati to come out of that division, and that doesn't look good right now.
I picked Cleveland as well, so
yeah. Don't lump us in together on that one. That's
I know
you can't do that to me. You picked Baltimore to win the division. Half game behind the Steelers. Certainly not a reason to feel super bad about that right now. In the East, I think we both picked Miami, and the only team getting to the playoffs out of that division is the Buffalo Bills. I think we can both agree on that. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So let's pencil this into our repick here. In the South, the Texans lead that division at 6-3. We both picked them at 6-3. They're 2 games up on the Colts. That feels pretty safe considering what we've seen from the Colts as of late.
Yeah.
not too hot. And in the AFC West, we both picked the Chiefs, who sit at a perfect 8-0. But if the playoffs started today, the Chargers and Broncos would be 6-7. Sitting at 5-3 and then 5-4 respectively. So that's fascinating. In terms of playoff spots for the wild card, your wild card picks in the AFC, Noah, were Indianapolis, Jacksonville, and Cleveland.
Woof.
I had Baltimore, the Chargers, and Buffalo. I obviously have Buffalo making it as a division winner now rather than a wild card team. Right now, I have Baltimore and the Chargers in as wild cards, and I don't know. I guess I'll just keep it that way and say that I don't know. I think Pittsburgh and Baltimore are both going to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
wherever they make it is wherever they make it. Just to get rid of Cincinnati and make it clean, I'll say that Pittsburgh makes it as the division champ. Those two teams do have to still play twice.
Yeah.
In my heart of hearts, I think Baltimore is clearly the better pick to win the division here. They're only a half game back. They have the opportunity to play the Steelers twice. I think Baltimore probably does win that division, and Pittsburgh makes it as a wild card team. But I'll stick with Pittsburgh. Hangs on to win the division somehow, some way. Buffalo comes out of the East, Houston in the South, Kansas City in the West, and then I have Baltimore as a wild card, Chargers as a wild card, and my last wild card spot. Man,
this is a tough one.
It is, because there's not good candidates.
No, that's the problem.
The Broncos sit at 7, and then it's the Colts, and then it's the Bengals.
Ugh.
And then you get down to the Jets. I think I'm going to go with the Bengals.
Yeah.
I think they find a way to figure it out. Like, the defense is really bad, but it's been a top 10 offense by DVOA. I think Joe Burrow can get enough done. I think you can maybe steal a win here, there in the division.
They have a big one Thursday night, though, so that could be.
Oh, they do. They
have a big one Thursday night at Baltimore.
Thursday night. Ooh.
So that could be the deciding factor too if they steal that game.
Yeah. I can't pick the Broncos though. No, I'll take. That's my other option.
Hey, amen on that one, because that's as tough of a choice as you have to make.
All right. No, give me your updated AFC playoff picture.
Oh Lord! So
I'm assuming you're going to keep Baltimore winning the North.
Yeah, we're going to keep Baltimore winning the North. I think the Ravens.
We move Buffalo to the East.
Buffalo to the East. Texans. Who did I have? Texans or Jaguars?
Yeah, the Texans.
Okay, Texans winning the South, and then
Kansas City in the West.
Kansas City the West.
Okay.
So then that leaves it to the wild card spots, and where
you have Indy, which is sitting a game out on the bubble.
Okay.
Indy. You have the Jags, which are not close.
No.
And then you have Cleveland, which
my God.
Also not close. Both the Browns and the Jaguars sitting at 2-7.
So I got to choose. Oh man, I'm gonna have to choose. I can only pick one. I got to choose between the.
You can pick multiple. I don't care.
Okay, I was gonna say I may have to redo these picks. So,
so do you want to keep Indy, or do you think Indy finds its way off the bubble and back in?
I do think that Indy finds a way to get back in.
Okay.
We saw the story last year with Joe Flacco. They snuck in late in the year. They found a way to get in. I think that it happens again. And remember last year too, Indianapolis under Shane Steichen were a game out. We're a game away from winning the AFC South and going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that's huge.
Okay. What about the Jags?
So the Jags, I'm
assuming you don't have the Jags or Cleveland making.
No, I'm sending both those teams to Cancun, where they will be spending their offseason.
Who makes it in their stead? Right now, teams in the playoff. The only team in the current playoff picture that you did not have making it, or sorry, there are 3 teams in the current playoff picture that you did not have making it: the Steelers, the Chargers, and the Broncos. Would you like any of those teams?
You know, I think Pittsburgh's going to make it in. I think that's going to be one of them.
Right. I think they figure it out. I think they probably get a wild card.
Yeah, I think they're gonna find a way. They're gonna make it in. And
like even if they get swept by the Ravens, like I still
they still
probably find a way.
They still have a good spot on the not the Steelers, the Bengals.
Yeah,
to where I think they could steal that spot from the Bengals.
Yeah.
And I was gonna pick Cincinnati, but it's like I don't know.
Still get the Pittsburgh still gets to play the Browns twice too.
Yeah, and
they play the Browns twice. They do have to play the Ravens twice.
I think they also have.
Oh my God, they have all of their divisional games.
So it's basically like the Packers, where that second half is divisional opponents.
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
Oh man, this AFC North is gonna get spicy.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna stick with the Steelers though. I think Cincinnati doesn't. I don't think Cincinnati's gonna get in. I think it's gonna be very tough. So we got
other teams in the other 2 teams in the current playoff picture that you do not have making it are the Chargers and the Broncos.
I think the Chargers get in. I think Jim Harbaugh finds a way. I think they get in. I think the Chargers, sneak somehow in here. And yeah, and now but it's so hard though, because now I'm looking at this and I gotta either choose between the Broncos or the Bengals. And I look at Denver.
You got all your spots taken up. You have Baltimore winning in the North, Buffalo in the East, Houston in the South, Kansas City in the West, and then you have Indy, Pittsburgh, and the Chargers making it.
Oh yes, okay, never mind. So yeah, never mind. I thought I had to choose one more, but my math is very wrong.
Can you imagine?
My math
and playoff creep in American sports, please, please. I am begging you. I am begging.
Oh, but this is fun. This is fun. We'll have to see how it goes for the rest of these teams.
Would you like to walk back your Super Bowl prediction?
Yeah,
over Baltimore.
I definitely would want to walk
as we segue into third down.
Yeah. I want to change my pick for that Super Bowl prediction. I think the Lions this year, team of destiny. Wow. I said it.
Unique take first time.
Yeah. I said it last week. I think they're like the 2009 Saints. They just blow every team out of the water. Their average drives this year, they have when I checked last week, it was 244 by Pro Football Reference. The Lions are similar to that. They have, I think, 255 in terms of time. Mm-hmm. They're averaging 5.1 yards per drive. The Saints in 2009 were averaging 4.9. So
you're getting into third down territory here, brother.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah. Lions. I do think the Ravens make it into the Super Bowl, though. I still think I have.
But you have the Lions winning it.
Yes. And Detroit gets back to that. So now let's jump into third down. Actually, do you want to change your pick? Do you want to change your pick? I was gonna say
you give me a second.
I was gonna say I stop us.
No, I'm not walking back my Super Bowl prediction. Are you kidding me?
Chiefs, Lions.
Chiefs Nation pride. Yeah, I'm not doing that racist BS. No. I actually, in my heart of hearts, I would probably like to walk back and change my winner to the Lions. Mm-hmm. Like I said in the preseason, before I said, no, I can't pick against Kansas City until I see them lose. I had Lions over Ravens. And I'm going to stick with the Chiefs over the Lions, but man,
they're leaving you speechless right now.
Truly. Eventually, the Chiefs have to lose the game, right? They put themselves in such stupid situations. They have to lose eventually, I think. But I'm not going to pick them to lose until I see it.
Facts.
Yeah. For the inverse of the logic of why I picked the Badgers to lose by 1,000,000 points to Iowa. I said 31-14, I think, and I was still disappointed. Like, come on.
This has been a rough weekend for Wisconsin sports fans.
All right, third down.
All right. That's a great segue, though, into third down because the Lions, while the Chiefs. I agree with that 100%. I agree with that, but that's for your podcast. But it's funny though. I do like it. I do like it.
Let us know in the comments if Greg Gard should change his starting rotation.
Hey,
starting five.
Let us know if he should be fired. Anyways, third down. Lions beat the Packers. This
ball. Huh? Sorry.
Lions beat the Packers in Lambeau Field. They have now a nice division lead in the NFC North, and they've already beat the Vikings this year. They still have to play Minnesota again. They still have to play Green Bay again. But I'm looking at their schedule, Kedrick, and the way the Lions have been playing this year, I'm looking at my chops at the possibility that they may not lose another game this year. You don't think so?
Texans, Jags, Colts.
All winnable games. I think they all win those games by bundle.
They're going to lose somewhere. Like,
where do you think they lose? Like on their schedule?
I don't know. I'm sure they just lose some games.
Ooh, they got the Bills though. They got the Bills.
Yeah, they host the Bills.
Is that on Thanksgiving? No, it's not Thanksgiving.
Yeah, December 15th, famously known as Thanksgiving. No, they host the Bears on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Good God. Do they play another game outside ever again?
Well, that's the thing.
2 more games outside all year.
That's the thing. Is right? Like Green Bay was the only other one that they played. That's why I'm saying I think they made that's like one added boost is like they may not lose another game this year.
The Bears knock them off on December 22nd because they have to play outside at Soldier Field.
Yeah.
Book it.
Ooh. Book it. All right. Book it, he says. I do think that I looked at the schedule and I'm just like, man, the Lions are just dominating teams, but their schedule, man, it favors them because they only have one more team that they have to play outdoors in cold weather.
49ers.
That one doesn't count. That's in California.
Yeah, but it's like December 30th in the Bay Area. Yeah. Like it could snow. Theoretically.
It could. You're right. You're very much right. Okay, so 3. So they're only going to have on their schedule. They have 3 teams that they have played that they will play outdoors.
Stupid. I'd play football outside. Enough. Will you allow me the floor?
Yes. The soapbox is yours.
Play football outside, you freaking loser babies. Also, stop telling me the elements, the dark weather, the snow, the rain, it's wet, it's cloudy. Yeah, like, have you never stepped outside of your climate-controlled house? We used to build things in this country. Bridges, roads, highways, airplanes. Since when are we allowing wide receivers a pass for not being able to catch a football? I do not care that Jordan Love's throw was a little bit behind Dontavian Wicks in the end zone. You know where it hit him? Smack dab in the palms of his hands. Not his fingertips, the palms of his hands, where you catch a football. But, it's wet outside. You know how many times I've caught a football when it's a little bit wet outside? Like 1,000, probably. And look at me. Is this the body of a professional athlete? Look, many people would say yes.
I was going to say, come on now.
College football teams don't play games outside or inside. High school football teams don't play games inside unless you play for North Dakota State and you play half your games at the Fargo Dome. Unless you play for Syracuse and you play half your games at the O-Dome. You don't play college football. You do not play football inside at all until you get to the NFL level. But for some reason, we need to give the just most gracious pass to players whose job is to collect millions of dollars. And I am not one who's like on the hobby horse of like, you cash the paycheck, you do the job, blah, blah, blah. Everybody who knows me and follows me, like knows me enough to like, that's like, this is just so not my hobby horse, but it is, you are among the most talented people in the world at catching a football. You can't do it. Suddenly you can't do it anymore. As soon as you start cashing that check, you can't do it anymore when it's a little bit wet and slippery. All of a sudden, even though you were able to do it in college, in high school, in Pee Wee, like, give me a break, man. Hit cat. Oh.
I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on almost half of the NFL teams now going into domes and being like,
it's the worst. It's truly the worst. Nothing makes me more sad. Like nothing makes me more sad than seeing Chicago move to a dome.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, Soldier Field is truly nothing special. So not special that it's taken off of the historical register. But like, play football outside. Play football outside. Minnesota, go back to playing your games at the Gophers' home stadium, which hosts like 50,000 people. Like seriously, like play football outside. Grow up.
And
that's coming from the kid who like grew up playing the sport that moved from outdoors to indoors, right? Where you like hockey moved to the climate controlled environment. And now for some reason we are moving football also indoors. Like, why? You don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to.
It is really stupid. What I will give credit to some teams. I'll give credit to the Buffalo Bills. They're at least they're putting a new stadium. They're completely making it outdoors. I love that for Buffalo because that is a big advantage, especially in Buffalo, because they get a lot of snow. They get a lot of snow.
I get it. Like I get it way more for hot weather teams.
Yeah,
for Arizona. Yeah, dude.
Like Arizona. Yeah, I understand it.
Air conditioning.
Jacksonville. I understand it.
No,
you don't understand it. It's Florida weather though.
It's not a desert,
but it's like the muggy Florida weather. Like it's that thick.
Get over it.
Air. Okay.
Nerds. Oh, it's a little humid. Go to the Great Lakes, brother. Come on. Come on. You sound like talking. Oh man, I for like the first 6 months, I knew my girlfriend. I had to get into this thing where she said that it would be like humid in the Rio Grande Valley, and I'm like, this is not humid. You are desert adjacent in South Texas. Like, come, let's go. I'm gonna take you back to the Midwest and make an honest woman out of you, and keep you some humidity. Like, come on.
And she's
I understand it's different humid in Florida, like whatever, but like get over it. You have a swimming pool there.
That is true. You don't. All right, we gotta move on.
The Falcon Stadium is really nice.
I like the Falcon Stadium. Hey, Atlanta, I have not. I did, however, go to SoFi. I went to SoFi on my vacation, which is incredible.
Yeah, but you didn't go in.
No, I didn't go in. I got to stand outside, which it was cool because it's so big. And I was like, man, this is big.
If you go to the lobby of the Empire State Building. Have you been to the Empire State Building?
Yeah. I've been I actually have been in that one. I've been in the Empire State Building. I've been up top.
Does Tegan know? It's about 5 Snap the Pigskin / How I Met Your Mother fans that are going to get a joke. Move on.
That's wild. Anyways. This is a great show today. Fourth down. Get out
of here.
I know. We got to wrap up.
Let's go. Great deadline is coming gone. The Packers traded away Preston Smith for a bag of rocks. The
Commanders got Marshawn Lattimore.
He's going to finish as 10th all time in sacks for the Packers. Yeah. I believe that's right.
Close to it.
Finesse, awesome signing by Gutekunst. You got out of him when he was probably going to be a cap casualty next off season. That's good to see. Love to see the Saints finally starting to sell some parts. That is probably good. Pittsburgh is just buying pieces left and right on top of Preston Smith and Mike Williams out of the New York Jets. They see a window here to where they are loading up when they have the division lead. I think that is probably the most interesting storyline to come out of the trade deadline, is that Pittsburgh full on went out as buyers, and that obviously surprised me a little bit, but good for them. Preston Smith provides a really, really solid rotational piece for them behind some of their other edge rushers.
Yeah, and it's nice. All he has to do is come in on passing downs. They needed another wide receiver in Pittsburgh too.
Yeah,
they traded not Deontay Johnson. Well, Deontay Johnson was already with the Panthers. What am I talking
he's already
gone. But they needed another wide receiver to pair with George Pickens and Roman Wilson on IR. Probably not going to be back for a season. This is a good signing. The Marshawn Lattimore signing too. I like that. Very good for the Commanders. Seems like they're committing to that defense. They want to improve on the defensive side of the ball, adding secondary help.
Commanders also a team. I mean, I think some of what we might be seeing as some of this more. We over the last couple of years, we've seen more trade deadline activity than 10 years ago. And I wonder, and this is just, I'd have to go back and look at last year, but based on this year, I wonder if more of the trade deadline activity we're going to see moving forward is some of these teams that emerged as surprising contenders.
Yeah.
Who are trying to make some moves because they did not expect themselves to be in a position where, hey, they may have gone out and signed another guy or two in free agency if they had predicted that they would be as good as they actually are.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
Commanders and the Steelers are kind of exactly that.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. So that was a little pun, but anyways, bringing home the bacon. We gotta bring it home the bacon. We gotta wrap this up here. We're gonna do this rip the little Bundarooski do. Bring it home the bacon. Joe Burrow, 5 passing touchdowns in the win over I forgot what the team was, but who cares? The Bengals, the Bengals get the win. Joe Burrow played incredible for the Cincinnati Bengals. They've got a big game coming up here, which is a perfect segue into our pigskin primetime picks. Kedrick, looking at the scores here, who so far? No idea. All right.
No idea. We're at 53 minutes. Let's keep moving.
Yes. So let's segue right into it. Primetime pigskin picks. Bengals at Ravens. This is a big matchup for the AFC North. Who we got here?
Big rematch.
Yes.
From that game that Baltimore pulled within striking distance, tied the game late, and then Derrick Henry ripped off one big run in overtime, and it was over. To put the Bengals in a really, really rough spot. Fell to 1-4. Then Bengals are 3-1 ever since that loss. They really need to win. But I just think Baltimore's better, obviously, and I'm going to take Baltimore to win here by 7.
Yeah, I
probably another high scoring shootout affair. Should actually be a fun Thursday night game.
Finally. I mean, like the last couple Thursday night football games have been interesting.
Yeah, no, they haven't. Thursday night slate has not been atrocious this year.
No, thank God. Yeah, I got Ravens winning this one by 3. I think it's going to be very close. Like you said, I think it's going to be high scoring. I got Ravens winning this one by 3 against the Bengals. Moving on, Sunday night football, Lions and Texans. Detroit going on the road to Houston, CJ Stroud and company, hopefully trying to pull off a big upset win against the Detroit Lions. They have been just beating the daylights out of teams. Who do you got in this one, Kedrick? Lions or Texans?
Still the Lions. They didn't play their best game against Green Bay. Green Bay beat them in net success rate and still walked away with a victory. The Lions strike me as a team where they will not beat themselves and they will clearly capitalize on their opponent's mistakes. And there are not a lot of football teams that play close to mistake-free football like that. And I think we've seen a couple of times this year that Houston can get got. They didn't play their best game against Chicago, for instance. And if Houston shows up and plays anything less than 100%, I think the Lions probably win this one comfortably. This has the potential of being a really, really good game. But I think Detroit ultimately just shows that it's a better team. I know Houston is still a little bit banged up. And it showed when they played the Jets. I'm going to take the Lions here by, oh gosh, I kind of want to go a little bit big because I just really do believe in the Lions. I'll take the Lions by a touchdown, taken by 7.
Yeah.
I don't feel super confident in that, but like at a certain point, I kind of just have to believe the Lions are who they continue to show me they are.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Unfortunately, though, I'm gonna disagree with you on this pick. I got Houston winning this one. It's at home. Sunday
You
Night
just
Football.
told me Detroit was going to win the Super Bowl, by the way.
I did, by the way. However, I said what I meant, and I meant what I said. But now we're gonna flip flop it here. It's one of those weeks where it's just like, maybe the Texans pull off some sort of magic here. Sunday Night Football. They lost to the Jets, which I think is brutal, and they're going to be coming in pissed off against the Lions. So I got Texans winning this one by 4. I think CJ Stroud has a big day against the Lions. I think the defense for Houston is going to be key. And I think if they just get a couple stops, they stop the run, they don't let Montgomery and Gibbs get going, and they make Jared Goff, beat you with his arm, I think the Texans got a chance to win this game. So Lions, Texans, and then the final one, and this one is just a doozy of a game. Dolphins.
Yeah, this could be either really good or really gross.
Yeah, Dolphins at Rams. I don't know what to think about this.
Do you think it's going to be good or do you think it's going to be gross?
I feel like it's going to be gross.
I think so too, but like in a competitive way.
Yeah, I think it's going to be
kind of a like real sickos affair. I think it could be an enjoyable kind of gross.
Like, are you thinking low scoring or are we
not necessarily
like 17-10 type of deal?
I mean, maybe a little bit more. Like, I think we can see some weird fluky stuff like 24-17. Yeah. I mean, offenses start and sputter, but like the Rams just find ways to pull out wins in these close games. Basically, the only team they haven't done it against is the Packers. But like they beat Seattle in overtime in a comeback last week.
They beat the Niners.
Puka Nacua getting ejected for a punch.
That was wild.
Yeah. I like the Rams. I think they win a relatively clean game by 3. That's what I'll take. And I kind of just don't know what to expect from Miami week to week at this point. I mean, they basically played the same exact kind of game against both the Patriots and the Colts and just couldn't find a win. Way back in October. And then
everything's deteriorated.
Buffalo, a close loss to the Cardinals. I wonder if motivation is going to start leaking out of that roster. Yeah, the season just hasn't gone their way. I wonder if they kind of start packing it in.
Yeah, I got the Rams winning this one. I think I got Rams winning this one by 10. I think the Rams find a way to get it done. I think they start to find their groove a little bit. I truly do think that at some point the Rams are going to find their groove. They're going to figure out how to start winning games not so closely. This is a get right game for them. This is how they're going to start it off. Yeah, give me Rams by 10.
Tua's looked good the last 2 weeks.
He has. He learned how to slide. Learned how to slide.
He's been playing well. I mean, 25 of 28 last week, 2 touchdowns. He threw for 230 some yards the week before against the Cardinals. Like Tua hasn't been the problem here.
Defense they just ran out of time.
Yeah, defense really just can't get stops. it kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, this could be fun. It would not surprise me to see the Dolphins win and maybe win by multiple scores, but I'm not going to predict it.
I agree. I mean, Thursday night football, Monday night football have been interesting. They flip flopped. It seems like the games. It's either you're going to get one bad Thursday night or one good Monday night game, and they flip flop there. I don't know. Yeah, that does it for us here. Tune in to Snap the Pigskin on YouTube at youtube.com/snapthepigskin, or listen wherever you get your podcast. Also listen to Kedrick on the Sconnie Six Pack as well. Does some good stuff over there. Already showed a preview of what he's going to talk about with the Wisconsin Badger men's basketball team with Greg Carr. So that's very fun. Also listen to, I got to give a shout out to Tegan. She just started a new podcast. Be sure to tune into her podcast. It's called We Shouldn't Be Talking About This. They talk a lot about stuff there. So feel free to give a listen to her. They release every episode every Saturday. And with that, Noah Clark, joined by Kedrick Stumbris. This has been another edition of Snap the Pigskin.